What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV. The Premier League is back, and that means only one thing: a preview stream for you guys as Spurs go to Everton tomorrow night under the lights at Goodison Park. First game since Antonio Conte has been sacked, but are we going to see something different? That remains to be seen, as Stellini and Mason are in charge for this game. When you're looking at Everton, things have changed for them since the manager changed. Lampard's gone, Sean Dyche has come in. What do you think the main differences are now under Sean Dyche than it was under Lampard?
I think they've definitely become a lot harder to play against. They've become a lot tougher, more aggressive. I think their defensive structure, which they've been basing their play around, is a lot more effective than it was under Lampard. It felt like under Lampard, he kept trying to get them to play like... He basically wanted them to play good football. He wanted them to play like attacking football, but they didn't have to have the players to do it. So he kept having to compromise on his own philosophy because they didn't have the players that were good enough to play his way. But because he was compromising, he didn't quite play the system he wanted. So they weren't quite good enough to play in a compromised way under Lampard because he's not a defensive manager. So they're playing in a defensive way, not under a defensive manager, and it led to a lot of problems. But now they're playing in a defensive way under a defensive manager. So it's a lot more compact, a lot more organised. They're a lot tougher to play through. They protect their goal a lot better, and they're playing to their strengths. They're getting crosses in from wide areas. They're making sure when they're off the ball, everyone's running, working hard for the team. They're I've watched a tactical video Sean Dyche did on the Coach's Voice, and he was talking about how there's a V in front of the goal which you have to protect at all times, and they're very structured in protecting this V in front of the goal, whether it goes out wide and everyone shifts over to the right. Under Lampard, it was all very disjointed because I always felt like he never really wanted to play that way, which they were playing under him, but they were forced to because they lack quality. So Sean Dyche has really organised them. Not to say that they're brilliant or anything like that, but they're just a lot tougher to play against. And I think it was proven after their first game, beating Arsenal 1-0. It wasn't due to amazing football. It wasn't due to being able to break Arsenal down. It was just doing the basics really well, being a threat from set pieces, being a threat on the counter, and making sure whenever you're defending, you're making it very tough for the opposition, not giving away free goals and making sure there's nothing they do is easy. And that's what they're doing right now under Sean Dyche, and it's working, and it's probably going to take them to safety. Obviously, they're not out of the woods yet. They're still very much in the mire when it comes to the relegation battle, and they need a result massively in this game. But he has definitely helped them really find an identity to play under him. And I don't think he's going to be a massive long-term success at Everton, but I do think in this short term he's going to help them get out of the mess they're in.
If you bring up the form table, not the head-to-head, the form one, and you look at the form of Everton going into it, I mean, you're looking at their home form, right? 3 wins in their last 4 games, wins coming against Arsenal, Leeds and Brentford, which is very impressive when you kind of take into account how poor Everton have been for the most part of the season. With Spurs' away struggles of late, you look at that, 4 losses and a draw in our last 5 away games, with the one before that against Fulham coming with a 1-0 win away from home. I mean, you've got to be worried going into this game.
I'm not worried when it comes to like being worried of what Everton can offer going forward. Like I'm not particularly worried about like Demarai Gray or Iwobi like being too much for us. What I am worried about is being up for the fight. We saw it against Southampton when we were kind of on top and the game was easy for us. We were flourishing, 3-1 up, and everything was all right. But as soon as the going got tough, as soon as Southampton put us under any pressure, all of a sudden we crumbled. We just weren't up for the fight. We weren't able to live with them. Same against Wolves when we were on top and Wolves were allowing us to play. We were looking good. We were creating chances. But as soon as Wolves switched things up and all of a sudden they were putting more aggression on and starting to press us, we crumbled. And this is what I'm worried about Everton. I'm not worried about quality-wise, them coming and just playing us off the park. What I'm worried about is winning second balls, being aggressive in the challenge, not being bullied. When you look at their midfield, Onana, Idrissa Gueye, and probably who's the other one they play midfield? It used to be Iwobi, but Decore. 3 really physical midfielders who even the best of teams like Arsenal they were able to bully and throw their weight around. Imagine them against us. That's what I'm worried about. So I'm definitely worried for me going into this game. Like set pieces as well. Are they going to be able to bully us from set pieces and things like that? I think this game is going to be them giving us the initiative. I do think they're going to be sitting deep. They're going to be allowing us to have possession, but they're going to look to spring on counterattacks and play for set pieces, and they're going to look to bully us physically. And when they do get the chance to pen us in, they're going to try and sustain some sort of pressure by using their physicality to bully us. And I'm worried going into this game that we're going to allow them to do that. And it's like, if we're up for the fight and we're going to match them physically, then I do think we go and win this game. But I'm worried that because I don't think we're going to do that. And I think we've proven in the last few away games, Wolves, Southampton, Sheffield United, that we're ripe for the bullying. And that we're not up for the fight. And especially on a Monday night under the lights where the Everton crowd are going to be up for it. It might be cold or whatever because it's going to be evening.
Poor guys.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that we're going to turn up there.
The grass will be a bit too long.
That's what I'm worried about. I'm worried about us going there and just getting outdone when getting ditched. And that's what I'm worried about. And I just hope that we approach this game in the right manner.
Yeah, and like I said before, they ditched Arsenal, they ditched Leeds, they ditched Brentford. 1-0 in all of those games. And the game that they did lose, Aston Villa, Ollie Watkins scored a first half penalty, and it kind of was going the same way as the other games, but they conceded that penalty, and then they conceded a very late goal when they were trying to get a goal in the latter stages of the game. So they are a very hard team to play against, especially at home at Goodison Park this season. Only really at Goodison Park this season, because away from home they are pretty terrible. But how with the way Dyche sets his team up, are we going to see a variation in the tactic from Stellini and Mason? Are we going to see the same thing? How are we going to break them down?
I don't think we're going to see a variation. In fact, I actually think our formation, in a weird way, is actually pretty well. Is actually pretty good for combating a team like Sean Dyche, who's going to play a back four. They're going to be very, very compact. They're going to try and squeeze the pitch and force you out wide. Well, we kind of want to be out wide because with Perisic and Porro, that's technically anyway, in theory, with Perisic and Porro, those are the areas that they like to be in. They like to stretch the pitch as wide as possible. They're going to be very compact and trying to squeeze things very centrally, and they're going to force us out wide. And hopefully, if Perisic and Porro on their game, that's where we can really hurt them. So I think it's going to be in the wide areas where the game is won. It's going to be interesting to see if they go to a back three or they stick with their back four, which they've been doing a lot under Sean Dyche, which I assume they will going into it. But we know under Lampard they went to a back three occasionally. If they do go to a back three, I would be more worried because all of a sudden they can match us out wide, and I don't think we have the creativity to play through them. But if they do stick with their back four, I do see us having a lot of joy out wide. And to be honest, under recently, Porro's been finding all kinds of space against Forest, against Southampton. He's been really enjoying himself, Pedro Porro. So I can see him doing that. But it's whether we can take advantage of those situations of the wider because I do think we're going to get space out wide. It's whether we can take advantage of that, which is going to or whether we take advantage of the wide areas, or if we stretch the pitch, we can find Son and Kulusevski and Kane in more spaces because the pitch is stretched. I anticipate them not getting the spaces. I anticipate them leaving Porro and Perisic to have a bit more space out wide rather than stretching the pitch and allowing Kulusevski and Kane and Son to have a bit more space. So it's about whether our wing-backs can really take advantage of the space I anticipate.
When you're looking at the head-to-head between the clubs, we do have a fairly good record against Everton. Haven't conceded against them in our last 3 games, a 2-0 and a 5-0 win at Spurs, and then last time at Goodison Park was 0-0. The last time we've won at Goodison Park was that famous 6-2 game under Pochettino.
Wow.
But since then, we have not done well at Goodison Park whatsoever. So last year 0-0, the year before 2-2, that 5-4 in the Cup, 1-1 in the year before that in 2019, and then before that was 6-2. So, I mean, we're not losing games at Goodison Park, but we are struggling to win games at Goodison Park. But with the results around us this week, Liverpool losing again, we'll see what happens later on with Manchester United and Newcastle, but we got to win this game, surely.
I think we have. I think it's a very important game to win to cement our spot in the top four. It'll be interesting because whatever happens, Newcastle against Man United, either we have the opportunity to go third with a win, or we have the opportunity to get some breathing space against Newcastle. So whatever happens in that game is an opportunity for us, but we don't, as I've said before, we don't take opportunities, we give opportunities. So I think that's even more reason probably why we won't get a result on Monday night. And as much as I want to believe we're going to go there and play our football and get a new manager bounce onto Stellini, now Conte's gone, obviously this is the first game under the intermediary tenureship of Stellini and Mason. Well, I like to believe we're going to go there and have show fight and just play our football. I find it hard to believe that we are, given the previous away games we've had. The only thing I can think of is, those home games we had under Celia Mason. We did show a bit more aggression. We were more kind of not maybe on the front foot, but we were more aggressive in those games, and we weren't making as many silly mistakes. So maybe that's something to show positivity. But then again, the away games we've had under Stellini have been Wolves and Sheffield United, and they didn't exactly go well. So away from home,
we played very well in that first half against Wolves, didn't we? And then it all just fell apart, didn't it? In the second half.
We can say that in loads of games. And we played well for a bit against Hampton, but then we fell apart. It doesn't matter if you fall apart. That's what matters, and we have been falling apart. Also, in these games.
But in a sense, do you not think that there will be something that is going to change this weekend? Because it's the players clearly fell out with Antonio Conte, right? And Stellini was talking at this press conference saying, he is going to make a few tweaks tactically. Him and Mason, will have the advantage to do that. Where maybe in those games, I know he did in Man City because Conte was just too ill to pick up the phone and give them those tweaks. But in those other games, in that Sheffield United game, in that Wolves game, Conte was hovering over them the whole time, whether it be virtually or on the phone or whatever it may be. Conte was still the manager at that point. So now he's gone. Maybe the players will have a bit of, the shackles off a little bit. Do you not think there will be a few tweaks and we can see a different Tottenham this weekend?
Maybe. I don't believe that Stellini is the kind of manager who's just going to allow them to play free-flowing football. That doesn't seem the kind of manager he is. He's a defender. He's obviously been part of Conte's coaching team for a very long time, and I think that to be fair,
it's not actually a long time he's been part of Conte's coaching team. It's only since Inter Milan.
Yeah, and he was there at Juve.
Apparently he wasn't, is what I was listening to a podcast, I think The Athletic or someone, over the weekend, and they say the first time they worked with each other was Inter Milan. Is that not true?
I mean, I looked at his previous career. It does say he was at Juve, but then he obviously got a ban when he was at Juve for a match fixing scandal. So he was there, maybe. I mean, and it does coincide.
Maybe he wasn't his number two.
Yeah, maybe. I think he was just a coach. I don't think he was assistant at that time, but he was there when Conte was there as well. So I don't think Stellini gives off the impression to me that he's just let's just go for it kind of manager. I still think he wants a solid defense, to be solid defensively. I still think he's going to expect the players to kind of dig in defensively as well. I do think there might be an element of when you say the shackles off. I mean, what does that look like to me? Because I think when under Conte, apart from maybe games against bigger sides where maybe the shackles would definitely be on, were the shackles not off against Southampton? You know what I mean? When we were 3-1 up.
When I say the shackles off, I mean without Conte being there specifically on the sidelines, telling everyone where to be at every specific
Giving the
time,
players more responsibility.
and micromanaging every single facet of the game. That's what I mean by shackles off.
Yeah, there might be something. There might be, yeah, and maybe that will help. Maybe that will help not having someone on the sidelines who you're sick of, telling you what to do all the time, and maybe that leads to, even if it's unconscious, just that slightly less bit of effort being given, and maybe now Stellini's there, that will fully be given. But I'm just worried about it's not about, for me, like being attacking or defensive and all these kind of things. It's more just that mentality is my worry. And will they be able to dig deep and get a result in this game? And that's what I'm worried about, because Everton are going to be right up for it. Their motivation, their energy is going to be really, really strong. And whether Tottenham can match that, that's my big issue. And maybe they can. Maybe Stellini will get them there. But I just question whether he will.
Yeah. It is a big question mark. We are going into the kind of unknown, aren't we? Stellini team without a Conte influence, or he's going to have a Conte influence, but not Conte constantly on the phone being like, do this, do that. And then Stellini being like, am I allowed to do this? Am I allowed to do that? And saying yes, no, yes, no. So we are going to a bit of the unknown, and we'll have to see how it works out. But specifically looking at Everton, these are the two players we've earmarked as ones to watch. Jordan Pickford, 93 saves, which is third in the Premier League this season. 16 punches as well, which is also third in the Premier League with 27 appearances this season. James Tarkowski, 60 blocks, which is the most in the Premier League this season, and 152 clearances from him, which is third in the Premier League this season after 28 appearances. And it kind of went back to Burnley, didn't it? When Sean Dyche came in, that game against Arsenal, 1-0, James Tarkowski getting the goal, and it's just like picking up where they left off at Burnley, isn't it?
Yeah, a bit, and obviously he's got Michael Keane there as well. He's got McNeil there as well. So he definitely started to recreate that Burnley side, maybe the one that finished 7th under his stewardship back in like 2018. And I do feel like that that's how he wants to play. I do feel obviously they have a bit more quality than that Burnley team did. So he'll fancy his chances of improving the results. But when it comes to Pickford and Tarkowski, had two players having very good seasons at the moment with Everton. I think Pickford has really he was getting a lot of backlash for some of his performances at Burnley, to be honest, and he was Burnley at Everton, and he was kind of under the gun, and people were saying he shouldn't be number one anymore for England off the back of some of these performances. But I do think he's answered a lot of those critics this season. I do actually think, despite Everton's bad form, he's been one of the better players, pretty consistently this season, Jordan Pickford, and fair play to him. I think he's been very good, and Tarkowski has been a very good signing for them, despite the fact that, again, things haven't been great this season. I think he's been one of the players, especially since Sean Dyche has come in, where he's been very consistent and making very few mistakes. I do question whether he's of that level, maybe to take them on to like getting them back into challenging for Europe. I do think he's a good defender. Maybe he just needs better defenders around him. But I think in this kind of situation, he's kind of perfect.
Yeah, I think they've got players there that are willing to fight for the badge. If you bring up the lineup graphic, you've got Townsend and Calvert-Lewin ruled out for the game. Pickford, Tarkowski, Keane, Coleman, Godfrey, Gay, Onana, Decore, all of these players are there and willing to fight for the badge, and are going to make it very hard for us to break them down and play through them. You're looking at those attacking players. I mean, that's where their flaws are. McNeil, Iwobi and Gray. I mean, on their day, they can produce good moments, but consistently, can they do that throughout the course of the season? I don't think so. But you mentioned the wide areas, maybe the areas that we're going to find our joy. But how are they going to hit us? Where are we going to be most vulnerable? Is it going to be set pieces and that kind of sort of angles?
Pretty much. I mean, obviously, counter-attacks. Damari Gray is very, very quick, and if they can kind of find passes over the top, that's definitely an avenue they'll look to hurt us. I think McNeil is obviously a very accomplished crosser of the ball, albeit they don't have too many players to aim at, but what they do have is people like Decore making late runs into the box, and he's definitely someone who you've got to be wary at, because he kind of goes under the radar Decore when it comes to like him being a threat, because he's usually seen as like defensive midfielder, but he's actually quite adept at making those late runs into the box and getting on the end of things and being physical. So that's a worry. And I think just their midfield, Decore, Gay, and Onana. They cover so much ground. They're so physically imposing. I think people like Onana and Decore as well technically are underrated. I think they're quite good passers of the ball, and they're kind of you don't want them getting too near, especially Decore. You don't want them getting too near the box and having opportunities to shoot. So I think the central midfield is for me the biggest problem. And I do think McNeil out wide on the left-hand side swinging crosses has got to be a bit of a concern, because especially because we know Porro likes to get forward. So whether McNeil finds good spaces on the left is going to be a worry. Also, McNeil is a very hard worker as well, so he's going to be tracking Porro all the way back. We know that for sure. That's one of his biggest attributes. So you just got to make sure. But if we make sure that we're not giving away any silly free kicks, not too many corners, I do think their avenues to attack us will be limited. I really do believe that.
And when you're looking at Spurs going into this, I mean, yet another injury crisis on our hands. Basuma, Bentancur, Sessegnon, Richarlison, Davis, and Emerson Royale all ruled out for the game. Perisic, Stellini did confirm that he's fit to play the game, and Hugo Lloris as well. Do you think, first of all, starting on Hugo Lloris, does he come straight back in?
It's interesting because this one, actually, in this kind of game, I would argue it might be worth having Forster in, because when you have a team like Everton who was so adept at set pieces, like I think Forster's actually more comfortable coming and claiming things in this kind of game and having punches and being more physical. So for me, if it was my choice, I would wait till next week against Brighton to bring Lloris back in. I would keep Forster in for this Everton game because I think Forster's better. But I do kind of, with Lloris being our captain and the respect he commands, I do suspect Stellini will bring him straight in. But I, for one, would keep Forster. That's what I would do, because I just think, if you're being bombarded with crosses and set pieces, I'd just rather Forster there.
Yeah, I mean, I hope we're not bloody bombarded against Everton this weekend on Monday night.
I think most teams would be like, that's what they do. They spam crosses in, and they try and get as many set pieces, and they just they spam crosses. And so I think most teams get bombarded by them in a way.
Well, I hope not. But in terms of the wing-backs, it's obviously the only two fit wing-backs in Perisic and Pedro Porro. Centre-backs all speak for themselves. I mean, it's hard for Stellini at all to make too many changes, because just everyone that we don't have a squad, do we? We've just got pretty much 11 fit players. Yeah,
I think it picks itself pretty much. I think that, to be fair, because of the injuries, there's not too many real problematic decisions he has to make. So you've got, maybe, does he play Danjuma, which is not really a decision at the moment, because I think he will stick with Son and Kulusevski and Kane. Does he play Sarr instead of Skip? Is that something? There's a decision. I would say Skip's playing very well at the moment, so I don't think he puts in Sarr. Does he bring in Tanganga or Sanchez? I can't see him bringing them into the back three. Obviously, the wing-backs pick themselves. And I guess the biggest decision is, does he bring Forster back in? I guess that's the biggest decision.
That is the biggest decision.
And I, to be honest, I think it's, for me, I wouldn't, but I wouldn't be surprised if he does either. So I'm not 100% sure what he's going to do, but I've got a feeling he does bring in Lloris just because he's our captain. I think he brings him straight in. So I think Stellini, when he did have choices, I guess he was the one who brought Richarlison in, wasn't he? So I guess maybe he would have played Richarlison, especially given that's his old club as well. Maybe he would have played him if he was fit. But even if everyone's fit, I think this is pretty much a team. Maybe Davis as well, actually. Davis probably would have played. So I guess he's a hamstrung a bit with a few injuries. But with the injuries that we have, I think the team pretty much picks itself.
Yeah. All right, so having said all that, what is your score prediction going into it?
Well, my predict the Prem, I said we'll lose 1-0. I don't see a reason to change it, to be honest. I think we will get ditched. I just think that, I reckon, like, from the start of the game, we'll have a bit of joy. We'll find some space out wide, but I don't think we'll take full advantage of it. I think we'll put some crosses in, but Everton are very good at getting crosses out, clearing them away and stuff like that. And I just feel like that when we start battening down the hatches and Everton really turn the screw, and they start to really physically impose themselves, are we going to be able to cope with that? And once the crowd really gets on their side, and like, are we just gonna crumble? And I just get the feeling, yes, we will. And I'm happy. I'll be delighted if I'm proved wrong. But from the evidence I've seen of this Tottenham side, as Conte says, they don't like playing under stress and under pressure. And when we get put under pressure on Monday night, are we going to be able to live with it? I'm going to say no, but I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, I'm gonna be a tiny bit more positive. I get what you're saying, and to be honest, I agree to a certain extent. But I also think that, you know, Conte's gone now. Like I was talking about before, the shackles of him micromanaging every facet of the game will be gone. And I think the players will respond in a positive way to that, to be honest. And I think Stellini, he's shown him and Mason, they can throw up tactical tweaks that can really have a big impact in the game. So I'm backing for that to happen. And I think that what you're talking about, Spurs having that early dominance, if we can get an early goal, then their game plan goes completely out the window. And I think that plays massively into our hands. And I think we go on to win the game if we do get the first or an early goal. And I'm going to back for that to happen. And I'm going to say 2-1 to Spurs with a bit of a kind of reinvigorated performance, should I say. I think we've got a lot of hard games coming up, and this is one of the ones where we need to get the 3 points. This one and the Bournemouth game. If we need to get 6 points out of those two games, and then we'll really have a massively good chance of getting that top four. So I'm going to back that to happen. I'm going to say 2-1 to Spurs. Sim saying 1-0 to Everton. I want to know your score predictions in the comment section below. But that is our match preview for the game against Everton on Monday night. We have people waiting to speak to us.
Yeah, let's get Grandpa. Is he in the back end? Let's get him on first if he's there.
Grandpa always first, but let's get him on.
Oh, wait, it's all tangled.
Grandpa?
Hi.
How you doing?
Great to see you. It's a long time since I've been on.
I know. How you been?
Yeah, I'm fine, except for my voice. It's very sexy, so be careful.
Your voice is actually getting better and better. It's much better since I last spoke to you anyway.
It's a little bit better, but not as good as it should be. Anyway, I predict 2-0 to us.
Oh, tell me why, Grandpa. Tell me why.
Because I'm in I sent you a note about positivity. And what the positives are in terms of what's going on now. I think we've got a new clean sheet with all the basic management gone. We've got time now to rethink the whole of our project and think about the way we're going to go, what we're going to do with all the people on loan, and what new people we're going to bring in. I hope we get a manager. But whoever we get, I hope we get Levy to rethink and learn from the mistakes that have been made. And therefore, I'm going to be positive. I'm going to say, look, there's a real opportunity. I think the players are going to play back against Conte's comments on them, and they're going to push to win, and that's why I predict 2-0. They're still way at the bottom of the league, so they're fighting for survival, which makes a difference. But nevertheless, we're fighting for survival as well, in a way. And I think, therefore, that I'll be very positive and look forward to the match.
Grandpa, what's your opinion on all the business about Fabio Paratici and how he's now given a leave of absence subject to his appeal against his worldwide football ban for 30 months? How do Tottenham deal with this situation? Because, you know, we're looking for prospective managers to come in, and, you know, they're looking at the club thinking, well, what's your plan? What's your strategy? And they can't really give an answer until the whole Paratici situation is cleared up. So what do you think how do you feel like we've dealt with that situation?
Well, I think we should give it up because I think he should go. I think, you know, the guy's corrupt. He's clearly corrupt. He's been proven corrupt. It's not that they're waiting for an appeal. It's been proven to be corrupt.
They are waiting. That's what they're waiting for. That's why he's given a leave in absence and not been sacked straight off.
Right. But I don't think we should keep him. I think he's been found guilty. I mean, if his appeal gets through, which I would doubt, I still think he should go through because, in a way, he's a Conte man. Didn't
He came in before Conte. He brought Conte in.
He brought Conte in, so he's a Conte man. So I think we need the clean sweep, and I don't think we need him there. And if he is corrupt, has he been doing anything with helping us get players that we wanted? Is that part of the whole problem, that he's not being trusted now? We're looking desperately to take on 2 or 3 new players and to sell a few players, and we need somebody that's trusted to do that. So I'm happier if he wasn't there.
Yeah, I think that's right, to be honest, and it makes a mockery out of him being appointed in the first place. Like, surely they would have known something like this was on the way, because this was an ongoing investigation. Once the investigation came to a head, straight away, everyone regarded with Juventus resigned straight away. They got a 15-point deduction, and he's just there, just working on Spurs as like nothing has happened. So I don't understand why this has all come to a head at this point and why it wasn't dealt with at an earlier date.
I agree with you. It was a major mistake by Levy, I think. Another one.
Yeah.
Add
them to the list, Grandpa. Add them to the list.
Yeah.
But how can we get a new manager while the situation is going on? We can't, can we?
Well, it really depends. If we got somebody that really wants to join us, why would that stop them? If we say, look, we're not going to work with him.
Because these managers are looking at Tottenham and thinking Tottenham need a long-term manager, a long-term rebuild, a project kind of thing. That's what if we're agreed that we need that. We need like a long-term project. How can any manager commit to a long-term project when we don't know what strategy we're going for, because we don't have a director of football?
Because we undertake to sack him.
But we haven't.
No, but we should. In talking to a new manager, particularly if it's one of the ones that you both like, Nagelsmann, for instance, we come over, we're open with them. We say, look, we're not going to keep him. Unless he has a strong view about keeping him.
But
I wonder if these managers have that view on Daniel Levy.
Well, that's the biggest problem. Of course,
Yeah.
That is a big problem. I love the April 4 that somebody did.
Yeah.
Did you see it?
Yeah, I saw it. Saying Levy's gone.
I didn't get to the end of it, so I almost rang you up and said, look what I've just seen.
Grandpa, let me ask you this, Grandpa. There was a report last week saying that Tottenham are in the biggest crisis under Levy's tenure since they began. Do you agree with that?
I think it's the biggest opportunity since his tenure. I prefer to look at it that way. Maybe it's the biggest crisis, but it doesn't matter. You can't look backwards. You can only look forwards. And how can we make the best of the situation we're in? How can we make sure that next season we start to build a team that's going to win cups? And that's the way they should look at it. And that's the way Levy should look at it, in fact. Because I think people misunderstand. We know he's a businessman. We know he wants to make as much money as he can from the stadium. But he must realise that if we start to win cups and play exciting football, they'll get more money, they'll make more money, and it'll be more profitable. So, I think we should all be on the same playing field as far as that's concerned. And not waste our money on things that aren't going to help us build the team.
I think Levy needs your leadership training, Grandpa.
Yeah, he certainly needs to listen and learn. And I hope he will do, because this has all happened now. And it just shows him in such bad light. So he's either got to go, which I doubt, or he's got to learn. And I'd like to think that he'll learn and the team will come together. We haven't got such a bad team. We beat City. We've won some good matches. So all we need is And we're still fourth, and we have every good chance to stay there, particularly if Newcastle lose. I mean, the matches yesterday were all in our favour, weren't they?
Mm-hmm.
So let's hope that Newcastle lose as well, and we can stay, pretty much stay in fourth. But we only need 2 or 3 more players. We've got some really good players, and some of those out on loan were good players. So it might be that some of those will come back and we can keep.
Don't let Ben Teller hear that. He doesn't want to keep any of the loan players.
Then if they don't need it, then they've got to sell them at a loss.
Bring in Dombele home. Bring him home.
Well, he had some great moments. I love some of his.
He also had some very bad moments too.
That's right. How's he done? Where is out? Do you know?
He hasn't played
pulled
much.
up any trees,
hasn't really played much.
He's bench warming over there, but he's going to come home with a league winners medal in Italy and also potentially a Champions League winners medal as well.
Right.
Well, what do you think about Harry Kane, Grandpa? Do you think we can convince him to stay and sign a contract, or do you think that his head is going to be thinking about leaving again?
I don't think he really wants to leave, and I think if we get a manager, a decent manager like Nagelsmann, then I think he'll stay. But he's not. I wouldn't think he's in the mood now to buy a contract until he sees a project, and a project that everybody's working towards and are all together on it. So I think it's 50-50.
50-50.
We'll have to see how it plays out, but I really hope they do follow your words and turn crisis into opportunity. But Grandpa, thanks for coming on today.
Nice to see you, Grandpa.
I think you guys should fight for that too. You
I
make
agree.
it know. I think it's fans that are going to make this happen. And if we're positive, I think we have a better chance. If we're continually negative, it'll be a downfall to the club. Okay.
Thanks for coming on, Grandpa. We'll speak to you soon.
See you soon,
Grandpa.
guys. Okay.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye. It's Grandpa, great as always.
He's right. We have a responsibility to keep up positivity.
Absolutely. It's hard at times. It
It's
definitely
hard
at
at times
times.
given this club. It's like you try. We always, on this channel anyway, we do try and stay positive. We literally backing Conte till the very end, backing Mourinho, but it's like we always get it shoved back in our face. That's what it feels like a lot of the time.
Yeah, it's the only thing
do.
you just find it's impossible to back Levy at this point.
100%.
Impossible.
He's done so much wrong. I just don't understand. Yeah.
Since not spending money for Pochettino in those 18 months, has he made one correct major decision? One.
No, but as they say, a broken clock's right twice a day. So maybe you can just maybe the law of averages means that the next one's set to be right.
Decision was probably the mutual consent with Conte. So
Yeah.
we've got to go through many.
We've already had it.
Yeah, exactly. so the next right one is probably going to be the next sacking.
Oh no! So he's going to go for another 10 wrong ones now. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Let's just
much.
hope. Let's just hope the law of averages states. Surely he's going to make a good decision at some point.
How many times do I have to tell you? Law of averages works in every single facet apart from Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah.
The law of averages doesn't apply to Tottenham Hotspur.
So
Otherwise, we'd have a few trophies behind our name by now.
Yeah, law of averages would state we wouldn't have gone 28 years without beating Chelsea or something. Yet we did. We literally
Exactly.
went 28 years without beating them.
In the 80s or something, we went we beat Liverpool away in the 80s when Garth Crooks scored the winner, and that was our first win at Anfield for 70 years or something. Only these records can apply to Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah, we don't do law of averages.
But anyway, we got a super chat from Jaden saying this game has a 1-0 loss written all over it.
I couldn't agree more. Honestly,
Sim couldn't
really
agree
do.
more. But let's bring on our next guest, and he goes by the name of Ariane. I think he's frozen.
He's either frozen or he's super chill. One of the two. Can't tell.
Is Ariane? What's going on with Ariane in the back end?
So
Can you see him?
Get him to reconnect.
He's frozen. All right, we got another super chat here
Just
from
reconnect, Ariane.
Jaquandre Jones, a member for 26
Wow, big up,
months, my
Jaquandre.
brother. And he says, shout out from the Detroit boys. Shout out to Detroit.
Big up to you, Jaquandre.
Let's get Elias on. How you doing, Elias?
Hello guys, how you all doing after a
We're
while?
doing, yeah. You know, we've had a nice 2 weeks off Spurs. I think it's actually been pretty good for all our mental health. I reckon just sitting here watching some other teams' football and just relaxing a little bit. Have you been relaxed these last 2 weeks?
Not really. I actually fell sick last 2 3 days.
Well, to be fair,
Yeah, I
I
had
say
just a bad
relaxing, but
flu.
we've been here on streams going absolutely nuts about Paratici and Conte and Levy and all these kind of things. So maybe I am telling a little bit of a white lie. But we're here. Football's back. The Premier League is back. How are you feeling coming into this game on Monday night?
As usual, nervous.
Yeah.
I think it can be a pretty tricky game given the way Everton has been performing lately against like the Dyche thing.
Yeah.
I think we can get Dyche as well by Sean Dyche, and I think his pairing and his reunion with James Tarkowski has worked really well. And that would be interesting to see. And then their backline, the way they organize themselves in the back, and the way they drop in deep, uh it's gonna be a bit of a concern for us. Like, how can we find spaces to score goals? How can we find the holes in between the man there? That would be really interesting to see, because I don't think we have any creative players right now in our team who can do that for us. uh I don't know who. I don't see anybody at the moment. Like Kulusevski gave some good glimpses of his old game again for Sweden during the international break. I don't know if any of us saw him.
Yeah, I saw
Uh,
bits of it.
he looked like really good with some of his moves and some of his stuff. Like, if he can work those wonders back at Spurs, that would be really interesting to see. And I hope he's fit as well. From the international break, he hasn't picked any niggle or anything. It will be really interesting to see what he can offer us in terms of creativity. And I guess in this game we have to rely a bit on our creativity from somewhere.
Elias, with this being the first game since Conte's departure, what differences do you anticipate going to this game in maybe style of play or maybe personnel or whatever? Do you anticipate much difference on the pitch to when we were under Conte?
I think in terms of personnel, we don't have many options. I think we all know the amount of injuries that we are dealing with. You lack center backs, you lack wing backs, your midfielders are out. Front three, who knows? I mean, front three, it's given like Richardson is, I think, still injured, so I don't think front three also you can make much of a difference. So in terms of personnel, no, I don't see much of a difference. Maybe we may see a 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1.
You reckon?
Reckon a back four?
Yeah, it can go back to a back four, but let's just see how we go about it, because Stellini did say in one of the interviews that he would try and change the formation and tactics a bit. So it will be interesting to see if he plays a back four, because right now, like what you pointed out earlier as well in the chat, that uh, now he's not taking instructions all the way from Conte. He can make some of his own decisions and his own choices as well in terms of implementing into the game. So that would be really interesting to see, like what kind of major decisions that he make in terms of the formation. And it would be interesting to see if we go back to a back three, how does it pan out? Like, do you play a mid three with Kulusevski, Hoiberg, and Scape, and then maybe put Parashit, Son, and Kane up front, something like that? uh, I'm looking forward to it. Like some difference would be always interesting to see, but whether it works or not, I think it only time would tell.
Yeah, and do you think that we're going to see like something different? I mean, you mentioned that he says he's going to tweak it up a little bit, but do you think it will be like a noticeable difference this weekend than maybe what it has been under Conte the last couple of months?
Uh, it's always a a tricky situation. I think the one that we are in currently with the managerial change. But then the also the other thing is that Stellini is Conte's understudy. Like he has learned from him. His tactics are very much like his tactics. He has been deploying those tactics for years. But also, I think we cannot disregard the fact the circumstances we are in. So he may try something a bit pragmatic, a little different, to suit the current situation. Because Conte, as we all know, whether players are injured or whether players are not injured, he kind of always play a very consistent formation. Whereas I think we haven't seen much of Stellini. Like, how does he cope with like injury crisis and situations? Like, does he make differences in terms of sorry, not personnel, the formation? Because personnel he can't make much of a difference, anyways. Rather than just rotating the positions here and there, we can't do much because the amount of injuries that we have is just awful. So it would be interesting to see, in my opinion. Like if he does 4-3-3 and it works out, I think, and you can see, like, let's say, I mean, I was considering, like, if let's say you drop Kulu in a bit deep as a midfielder and play him as a number 10, it may work out as well. Because he has played in that role and he always say that that's his preferred position. So I would be looking forward to something like that if it works out in terms of creativity, because we haven't seen lately something of that sort from Antonio Conte previously.
You know what? One contentious decision is the goalkeeping. Hugo Lloris is back. Fraser Forster, though, might be more suited to this game. I mean, do you think Hugo comes straight back in?
A bit tricky one as well, given Hugo's experience. And Fraser Foster has regained his form. But I think for this sort of a game, let's stick with Foster at this point, given that Hugo is still returning from the injury and it will take him some time to get back into his reflexes and settle in and all of that when you are just recovering from an injury. And when you have a game like Everton, where Everton, I think they would try their best to get some free kicks conceded via the hands of Romero or Dyer or someone in the midfield like Scape. They would rely on some form of those kind of tactics, like get a free kick and then score a goal, uh, through Gray or one of those, through Townsend. Like those players can actually score free kicks. So it would be always interesting to see that if they do deploy those tactics. And I think for those kind of tactics, Fraser Foster is better than Lloris, in my opinion, in terms of saving free kicks and in terms of his reach. Fraser Foster is better, but I guess reflexes wise, and in terms of athletic ability, Lloris is the better option.
So, Elias, what's your prediction then for the game on Monday? And also, I also want to ask you as well, if Man United drop points today, we could potentially go third on Monday. And how big, like psychologically, would that be if we were able to do that?
They have 2 games in hands, right? Isn't it?
They
Two
do
games
have
or
two
one
games
game
in
in
hand,
hand.
obviously, but yeah, they do have 2 games in hand as of today. Yeah.
Yeah. It would be a massive boost because the next game we are playing is Bournemouth, and Bournemouth, as we all know, have not been that much of a threat, unless they are playing Liverpool. Like even that, even in that case, is a bit inconsistent. They can actually lose to Liverpool 9-0 and then beat them
They just
one
beat
nil.
Fulham
So
yesterday, though. Great result.
yeah, that was another great result as well. But Bournemouth, I think we can somehow pull a victory there. Uh, I'm not so that concerned about Bournemouth. Like, I mean, I think against that sort of teams we somehow turn up. But it would be interesting to see,
See,
like, if we
Elias,
win
it's
that.
it's that sort of attitude. We're going to go in and lose the game now.
Yeah, man, seriously. Like, whenever we are a bit optimistic, like, okay, Everton win and then Bournemouth, you have an easy fixer. You might win at Everton and then you might lose to Bournemouth. Like, I would love to get 6 points before we start playing some of the tricky games. Uh, but again, it would be very interesting to see what happens, because now this whole Stellini and Ryan Mason thing, we would see some changes, and I am pretty curious, like, what kind of changes would we see. uh and yeah, but the other team I'm pretty concerned about is Newcastle at this point. Yeah,
Yeah,
they
I mean
can
they
they
are
can
they
do
are a
better.
massive concern, but we've got to go to St James's Park later on this month, so we have to have some sort of breathing space between us and them by the time we go there. Surely.
Yeah, so after Bournemouth, we are playing Newcastle on 23rd April, and then we are playing United, Liverpool. Like after Bournemouth, our next few games are pretty tricky. We are playing
Hmm.
Newcastle, United, and Liverpool all
Don't
in a
forget we
row.
got
So
Bournemouth
we
next week,
must.
Brighton next week.
We got Brighton next week, is it?
Yep.
Yeah, we got Brighton next week and Bournemouth. Sorry, I missed the Brighton fixture. My bad. Yeah, so I think these three fixtures that we have would be the crucial ones before we go on the other three, and I think these three can make our season or can break our season. So, in terms of the Everton game, I'll go for a 1-0 win. I think we can pull off a 1-0 win. But like what one of you was saying just now, we can get diced as well, so it can be a 1-0 loss too, but
Hmm.
I'm pretty confident that I think we can pull off a 1-0 win.
All right. Big up, Elias. Thanks for coming on today, my friend, and we'll speak to you next time.
Good to see you, Elias.
Yeah, come on, you Spurs.
Come on. All right. Let's keep going, guys, and let's see if Ariane is frozen this time. Yes, Ariane. Wow, you can see you moving. How you doing?
Oh, it's been a while, man. It's been so long since I've been talking to you guys. You're always at the games. I even
I
messaged you
know, I
about it.
know. We're not going to
We're just
we're not
avoiding
going
you,
to Everton
Ariane.
tomorrow though, so it'll be a nice old school watch along tomorrow.
hopefully I'll be there, and hopefully we win, so I can see you guys in a good mood.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Uh, um, Look, this game is gonna be it's gonna be tricky because I mean, you guys laid it out pretty much perfectly. Cause it's Sean Dyche, and our history with Sean Dyche is every time we go up against him, if we do get an early goal, I mean, we've gone on like I remember we beat was Burnley 4-0 under Mourinho or something like that.
Yep.
Five? Was it five or four?
And
Yeah.
We
was it?
beat them
I think it was.
5-0 and 4-0.
Ah.
Oh, there you go then. Oh yeah, 5-0 was the one where Sonny scored the Puskas
Yeah.
goal.
Yeah,
But there you
yeah,
go.
yeah.
You
Yeah.
have that. And then you also have times like the last season where we beat them 1-0 at home, but away right after beating Man City, we lost to them 1-0.
Mm.
Hmm.
So you never know with Sean Dyche, and they are on a very good run right now. And like Sim said, they're not like fucking amazing. They're Everton. They're basically Burnley, but um, they can dice you, and that's always dangerous because they are a team who are so experienced at sitting in deep and just nullifying our already pretty toothless attack. Where
Hmm.
when you're relying on Pedro Porro and fucking Perisic to bring you goals, which we had to last time, and it still wasn't enough. Then how are you going to crack the Everton defense? It's going to be one where you need people like Kane to step up, and is he going to step up? We don't know where his head is. Son's been having a poor season, and he doesn't have that much chemistry with Perisic. And maybe this is a game where you do bring in someone like Richarlison because I don't know, he
He's
knows the
injured, I think.
ground. Oh, he is injured, isn't he? Shit. Dan June was the one that you guys mentioned as well.
Mm.
Um, yeah, so maybe this is a game where you gotta switch it up a little bit because we also need some aerial dominance this game. And besides Harry Kane and maybe Eric Dyer, who else is gonna bring us that? Um,
Big
we
Dave.
don't have much. No, never. No, never. I don't want to see him. I do not want to see him in his first shirt again. Jesus,
Yeah,
I don't even want to think about it.
you and me both.
Mm.
But now this is the first game that we're probably seeing Stellini without taking instruction from Conte, and he's going to have to manage it on his own with Ryan Mason. What kind of differences are you expecting to see, if any?
I said it last time. I think the Stellini is evidently a lot hungrier than Conte. Conte can sit in front of a press conference and rant and point fingers all he wants. I don't see hunger in him. I see finger pointing. I even said it last time. I'm sick of him because, or I was sick of him. He's gone now, thankfully. But what I saw in these latter stages of Conte, and for reasons that really are not in his control, because you could see the guy was going through a lot of things. He wasn't the same Antonio Conte. I think of prime Antonio Conte. I think of the Antonio Conte like in that 2-2 game, Chelsea and Arsenal, a
Hmm.
very long time ago. He was so animated, so all over the place, very passionate. I haven't seen that Conte since last season. Last season, Conte beat Aston Villa 4-1, and the press conference said you have to kill your enemy. We beat them 4-1 after we had a pretty whatever game, and he had to tell our players to smell blood in the box on the field. We haven't done that this season because he's just been where he was. I say that he was just out of it. And that one game where we had Stellini kind of controlling it, Man City, we looked like a completely different team. And I said it last time I was talking about Stellini, which was maybe a month or two ago, that I don't think Conte's game plan is necessarily outdated. We saw it work very well last season, and even the beginning of this season, before all of Conte's tragedies hit, it still works. But we saw them being implemented in a way which wasn't really effective. You had players starting that shouldn't have been starting. You had clear fallouts with the squad. I think Stellini is not going to be having those problems, even if it's not that different tactically. There's like a morale thing as well. Conte clearly fell out with basically every single player in the squad. Stellini seems to have some sort of grip on it, especially if they're letting him stay. I'd find it pretty weird if they're letting him stay and having Conte go if Stellini is just as big of a dickhead. So I think we're gonna just see a little bit more willingness from players because also Stellini is gonna be wanting a lot from these players, where it seemed Conte was kind of giving the same players a chances whether or not they played well. You have players like Son who genuinely didn't deserve to be starting all those games. He just didn't. And the couple times where he did take that punishment by being benched, he performed like brilliantly off the bench because Conte gave him a little nudge. I feel like Stellini is more willing to give these players the responsibility of earning their position than just giving it to them, because it just really felt like Conte was on autopilot for the whole time. But I feel like Stellini is going to be kind of on his toes a little bit more.
In terms of like mentality wise going into this game, like the last few away games we've had, it's been kind of when the going gets tough, Tottenham get going. That's how it's been. Wolves, Sheffield United, Southampton. Do you see it? Are you anticipating more of a tougher approach in this game, or do you think it's the mentality is going to show again? Because at home, we've kind of been found kind of wins not easy to come by, but we've been all right at home recently. But it's away from home where we've really struggled, and away from home in a intense atmosphere like Goodison Park, do you anticipate the players crumbling again?
There's so many factors here at play because like you said, at home I feel like when you have the crowd kind of reminding you what you're there for, the players have this kind of responsibility to perform. I feel like that's something that is way more powerful than a lot of people anticipate, and it kind of applies here for Everton. When you have 60,000 people that you have to like realize these people paid hard-earned money to come watch me. I can't just sit here and walk around. Some of them do it anyway, but I think that is kind of a subconscious thing that you realize as a player. But when you're away from home, and not only do you not have 60,000 people on your side who paid their money to come watch you, you have 20,000. You have I don't know good it's a park capacity, but like 20, 30,000 people.
It's about
That
30,000.
not
Yeah.
only is it 30? There you go. So there's about 30,000 people who are completely rooting against you. It's a psychological thing. In the field you're not familiar with, you have these people who are in front of you, completely ready to kill you for these 30,000 people. It's a little bit demoralizing, and because of the tough times they've been in, it could be you could look at it in a way where it's like, oh shit, here we go again. It's going to be exactly the same Tottenham. We're going to go in there and we're going to completely get destroyed. Maybe on the other hand, though, when you have, like I said, because if Stellini is going to be giving these players a little bit more of a responsibility to earn those spots, and you have like a new manager bounce, maybe that might be able to offset it a little bit, because I feel like if Stellini is going to come in there and say, look, you're not going to be starting every game anymore, because Conte clearly had his 11. I feel like maybe Stellini's going to. That's really my only hope. You have a lot of injuries right now, and so his hand's going to be forced a little bit in the team picking, and especially if these players know that, they're going to make sure, okay, well, when Basuma comes back, when Davies comes back, when X comes back, when Y comes back, and everybody comes back, I have to make sure I still want to play. So you have a couple of games really to audition yourself to Stellini and to whoever the next manager is going to be. Let's not forget, these players know they're going to have to be fighting for their place at the club, because players like, Perisic, or players like Dyer, or players like maybe even Longley, because who knows if we're going to buy him, they know that they have to. Their time at Tottenham is make or break right now. So they're going to be fully aware that they only have about 10 games to really cement their spot at the club or in their playing time really anywhere. So they're gonna maybe try and get out there and perform. And we have had a somewhat okay end to our seasons, I'd say, recently. Last season we ended very strongly. The season before that, I think under Ryan Mason, we did end it actually relatively well. I think in the Premier League, Mason had like 4 wins and 6, which surprised me when I realized it.
But the losses
So,
were poor, though, weren't they?
yeah, they were. I mean, Leeds was whatever. But I mean, look, Leeds and Villa were the 2 losses, and if you think back on them, like they were a little, like Reguilon scored the goal of the season, man. Like so, it's. So it's whatever. It's so those games were kind of in the air. But yeah, I think we have a relatively okay history of ending the season. I'd like to think, and maybe I'm just coping, but I think
I think so. I think so.
No, but I think at some point these players kind of can. I think our players, as shit as their mentality has been over the last few years, when they get going and they can get going, they can do some pretty special things. I think like that is something that, like last season especially for me, was really a highlight as to we have the squad that's just really not amazing in some aspects. Like that defense is just not amazing, but we have gotten it going. We managed to play 9 hours of football with Davinson Sanchez and not concede. I don't know how that is possible, but it happened, right? So it's these things are on the table, and I think there is ways we can kind of get back to maybe not at that highest level, because that was a little bit of a different vibe, battling out against Arsenal for top 4. It's not quite like that anymore, but there is a little something to be fought for, and these players, as much as they let us down at times, you have to admit in these last couple of seasons, we've had some really great highs, and these players have been there for that too. So I'd like to think under Stellini in these 10 games, maybe they can bring that out for us, so we can go to Goodison Park, and this could be the start of a new little 10-game era, and taking us into a really positive summer where we can get hopefully a decent manager. If it's not Nagelsmann, it could be that Celtic manager, De Zerbi, whoever it ends up being. Someone exciting, someone to get us somewhere, and this is the beginning of that. This is the first step, and maybe we'll stumble, but sometimes we don't. That's the thing with Spurs. Sometimes we don't stumble. Sometimes we don't. The law of averages. All right,
There's
whatever.
no law of averages with Tottenham Hotspur. How many times I have to tell all of you?
So look, I'm trying to be as positive as I can.
And we appreciate it, and so does Grandpa.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, it's just that's all we have right now as Spurs supporters. So just try and kind of back these players, because look, as much as we don't like a lot of them, they're all we have, right? So just back them, and hopefully tomorrow they don't stumble, because sometimes they don't. That's it. Sometimes they don't.
Do you think Hugo Lloris comes straight back in on tomorrow night?
I think you can't not play your captain. I agree with Sim in that I think Forster is literally a better fit in this game, but it's kind of it is also a little like, what kind of a message does it send that you bench your captain for the free goalkeeper signing that you got in the summer? That is also a little bit of a weird thing to just put out there. So I think
on the flip side of that, Ariane, your captain is also someone that you're looking to upgrade on and you're looking to replace.
Yeah, I mean, but it's not summer yet. It's just a bad thing to put out there. I feel like that you're just giving up on your captain with 10 games to go. I just feel like that's also something on an image side that clubs just generally don't do. So I think he will come in, because he's also very well respected in the dressing room. So it's not like it's gonna be an unpopular decision. So I think he's gonna come in.
Score prediction?
I'm gonna go with Grandpa actually. 2-0. 2-0 Spurs. Not Everton. Fuck no. Yeah.
Love it, Ariane. Thanks for coming on today. Hopefully speak to you after a nice 3 points tomorrow night. But see you soon.
Hopefully. I can't scream. It's about 7 a.m. But as always, come on, you Spurs.
Come on. Big up to Ariane. Anyone else? Oh, there is someone else.
Look who it is.
There is someone else. And he goes by the name of Brian Daiglesman. How many times, Mr. Daiglesman?
I'm not on mute. I'm not on mute.
No, you're not. I can hear you perfectly.
Oh, for God's sake, yeah. So there you go. You good?
Yeah.
I've just woken up, mate. I've woken up about 20 minutes ago, and now I've still got like
woken up. It's 3:30 in the afternoon, my friend.
Mate, as you know, I was at Ryan's last night watching WrestleMania and didn't get to sleep till about 6 a.m. eventually. So Yeah, just woken up. But how are we?
How was that great theatre?
It was actually quite a lot of fun. Tonight's one will be even better. But
Don't tell me you're
yeah,
staying up till 6 in the morning again tonight.
not when I've got work tomorrow. Not when I've got work tomorrow. No way. No way. Those days are gone, my friend.
Clearly not, because you were staying up till 6 in the morning last
No,
night.
I mean on a work night. On a work
Anyway,
night.
Brian, we
Yeah.
can talk like this all day. It's probably more fun than
We could
talking
do.
about Tottenham, to be honest.
For
But
sure.
talk to me. What do you think about the changes that might come under Stellini now Conte's gone? Do you think the shackles will be off a little bit more now?
You would hope so, wouldn't you? You really would hope so. We did see that in Manchester City. We did see that for Chelsea. Not Manchester, West Ham and Chelsea. It looked like it was off, but then you saw Sheffield United, Milan, and whatever. My main concern is obviously being at Everton away, and you were just talking with Ariane about sometimes these players come good and get it right. Well, it's these away games with the intimidating crowds where Conte spoke about the players' mentality in their bottle. It's been a much used phrase at Spurs. Let's go to a struggling Everton, fresh relegation from FIFA financial fair play and from the Premier League. Dan Zuma must be thinking, "Oh my God, I thought it was bad at Everton when he turned us down." He's come to Tottenham and seen the manager director of football, go out of 2 cups and play barely any minutes.
But yeah,
So, yeah,
again,
it's
we're still sitting in fourth.
Yeah, we are, but that's because the rest of the league is quite frankly useless. I don't know how this is happening. But yeah, tomorrow does worry me because it was away. If it was at home, I'd be a lot more positive. I just hope we just see a bit of aggression and a bit of fight because that's what they need to show. That's what they need to come out and show. Tomorrow is a fight, isn't it? It's not going to be a beautiful game of football. It's going to be a scrappy affair. Everton, like Ariane and you are all saying, Sean Dyche knows what to do against us. He just seems to get the job done. Let's just hope we can spoil that trait tomorrow.
In terms of showing that fight, now that Stellini's there, do you think there's more chance for us doing it, or do you think that the away games of recent memory, Wolves, Sheffield United, Southampton, is it going to be more like that?
Well, what I'd like to think right now, Simeon, is seeing that this has been, let's just face it, last week was the week from hell for Spurs, anyone associated with Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. You think right now, especially people like Romero and Richarlison that we used in that we were going to send transfer requests in or threaten to leave if Conte didn't go. These players have got a lot to come out and fight for and say, listen, we're here for the badge, we're going to fight. I just really hope it is that, Simeon. I just hope. Wouldn't it be lovely for Richarlison to come good tomorrow? If he plays at all. It would be incredible for him to come out and score a goal. He's to be pumped up to go there. Oh, fantastic. Brilliant. Wonderful news. Fantastic.
He'll be back for the next game, apparently. The Brighton game.
Well, the medical team have said that.
The report came out a couple of days ago. I can't remember who it was from. I think one of the Matt Laws or one of these guys.
Okay, so it's been released probably with our medical team. He'll be back for Everton away next season. So we shall see. Who else is injured? Because I missed all your build-up.
Who's injured? We've got Bissouma,
apart from the obvious.
Bissouma, Bentancur, Sessegnon, Richarlison, Davis, and Royale.
Oh, good. Good.
Perisic is back and Lloris is back.
Yeah, but I heard you talking about Lloris. I don't want Lloris to go back and goal. I just don't. And the reason I get that he's the captain, but because he's the captain, does that mean when you're fit you play? He's come back from the World Cup, been included in many howlers. He can't just walk back into the team.
But Brian, last time he was going through this when he last won the World Cup, he came back from that World Cup in absolutely shocking form, had a long injury, and actually came back better than ever. Is there a potential that this could happen again?
There could be. This is what we're basing it on now, isn't it? Let's get our players injured so they come back stronger. That's what
all the omens, Brian.
Mate, what don't kill you makes you stronger. It's looking that way, isn't it, with our players? So yeah,
what don't kill you makes you weaker with our sense.
Yeah, but it works both ways, really, don't it? But yeah, I would start I would start with Fraser Forster. I really would. I'm not saying that he should be number one for the rest of the season, but he's coming back. And when you're having your first game back after an nasty injury, do you want it to be in a game like this? A tough battling
Probably
game
not. Probably not. No.
where everything is going to be against you. The crowd are going to be going mental with the Everton fans. I'd rather he started at Brighton, in all honesty. Get another week of fitness in, and then take your place back at Brighton. But I don't believe just because you're the captain, you play. We had this with Harry Kane in the Champions League. If you're fit, you play. We know what happened there. It doesn't mean, okay, he's fit, he plays. He may be 100% fit, as in training fit. He ain't 100% match fit, that's for damn sure. I wouldn't start him.
Brian, there's a possibility if we win tomorrow, depending on the Newcastle United versus Manchester United result later today, we could even go third with a win. What would that mean for you if we were to end the weekend in third place?
Not a lot. Like I said, I don't care where we end up anymore. This season, I'll be honest with you, like I always am, I couldn't give a flying monkeys where we finish this season. Whether it be top 4, top 5, top 6, I don't care. Being third would be great, but like we've said many a time, getting into the Champions League and getting that Champions League money is just that. A payday for Levy, a payday for the club. It means nothing. I can't go into this thinking, oh, we got third now, it's going to be different this summer. Because it isn't. It never will be. So mentally, and you'd think for the players to see themselves sitting in third, that could be a good thing. But for me personally, don't care.
Score prediction, Brian?
I hate to say it, mate. I have been saying it all week. 1-0 Everton.
1-0 Everton. We're going to get diced,
Yep.
do you reckon?
Yep, I do. Like I've said to you a while ago, I'm not coming on here and just going, oh, we're going to win. They're relegation threatened and they're so poor and they're so... No.
Brian, you're going to be in the mud after we win.
Mate, do you know what? I'll happily come on the fat, mate. I'd love to be in the mud. Like I said, these things, Levy things, everything. I want to be in the mud. I want to be in the mud. So when we win, hopefully, I'll come on and say, yep, you were right. But we shall see.
I'm going to clip that for Brian out of context. I want to be in the mud. Just that.
There
Brian,
you go.
quickly, Brian, before you go, I don't know if you know, but
Yeah.
Brendan Rodgers has just got sacked by Leicester this morning or a couple of hours ago. Would you put him as a good candidate for the Spurs job?
Do you know what? Listen, he plays the good football. He does play good football. He does play attacking football. So he's got a few ticks to his name. I just wouldn't. He's another one that lasts about 3 years. Not that ours last any longer. Let's be serious. I just no. But I understand if people or we start to look at him because of his attacking football and the way he plays football. I just don't think. Do you reckon he's got the players there to play his football?
Well, what manager does have the players there to play his football?
That's true. That's very, very true. Very, very true. But no, I just wouldn't take him.
What philosophy does Eric Dyer fit into?
Stevie Wonders.
Well, there you go. But look, Brian, thanks for coming on today, my friend. We'll speak to you next time.
Always a pleasure, brother. And as always, Levy out.
See you later, Brian.
Big up to Brian as per usual. We are in the last 9 minutes of the West Ham game. It is 1-0 to West Ham. What did you have on this game? Put it the Prem.
3-1, I think.
Oh, I need West Ham to get another goal for a nice fat 5-pointer. But let's bring on Barry. Something inside so strong. And are we going to find something inside so strong this weekend, Barry?
No, we're not. I don't know. Listening to Grandpa has got me a little bit more positive than I.
This is our most positive fan after Grandpa, and this is what he's saying. What chance do we have?
Well, Grandpa loves Emerson Royale, so he's got some taste, doesn't he? So, look, yeah, I don't know. I think it's been an interesting week. I was saying to you earlier, I'm not looking forward to tomorrow night, but as it gets closer and closer, I'm probably going to get more and more excited, and then it'll be like, yeah, come on, we're gonna win, and then we'll.
Hold on a second, Barry. Hold on a second. I'm pretty sure I received a text from you this morning saying I'm excited for this weekend. I'm not sure why.
No.
Did I read it wrong?
I said I'm going to get it.
Receipts coming out.
I've got receipts. I said, am I wrong to not be excited about?
So I read that completely wrong. Because I said, in response to you, I said, I'm also looking forward to it.
That's why I got confused because you said delusion.
He thought you were being ironic. That's why.
I was like, I'm confused. Ben's confused. No, look, I think we all know what we need to do. We do need to put in a performance. We do need a win, but it's going to be hard. That bottom half of the table, there's 7 points between 12th and 20th. So every game has something on it, pretty much. So Everton are dropped in. If it stays the same, West Ham will be out of the relegation zone. Everton would have dropped back in. They're playing at home. Everton on a Monday night, it doesn't excite me. So I'm sure those players are going to be over the moon to be excited to going up to Everton and performing. But look, I just hope that they've had some time. Obviously, England didn't play. England played a week ago, so they would have had some time off, and hopefully they're going to come back refreshed. Conte's not there, Paratici's not there, and they put in a performance. I think that's what we need, right? We know what happened last year when we went to one game a week. We actually turned up. So who's to say that we don't go in and win 10 in a row or something stupid like that?
I'll say that as well. I'll comfortably say that as well.
Well, look, I think well, you never know. This is football, right? You never know, and trying to be positive. But I just think, look, I think there's just so much there's so many questions, not only about obviously the team's probably going to pick itself, like you guys said, but there's so many questions around manager, not only for the men's team, the women's team lost in the 93rd minute to Everton earlier. They don't have a manager, no director of football, no the head of the academy is not there. Talking about the loan players coming back, the players we need to get rid of, the players that we need to replace. It's just so much to do, and obviously the great news, that Brendan Rodgers got sacked. So yeah, obviously he'll be the favourite now for the job. As obviously Pochettino has been told by Daniel Levy that he's not welcome back. Nagelsmann's not going to come to Spurs because so he'll probably go to Real Madrid. Or
do you fancy him?
Who? Nagelsmann?
No, not Nagelsmann.
Who?
Brendan.
Brendan, do I fancy him? What, as
not sexually, as a manager?
Look, I think it's he used to work at Chelsea, right? So obviously he's a perfect fit. So we like people that have worked at Chelsea before. So
who would you prefer, Potter or Brendan, as our next manager?
I think it's going to be one of those two. I think if Chelsea keep going the way that they're going, they'll probably get Nagelsmann in, and then Potter will be free. So it's a choice. I think it's a choice between Potter or Rodgers. I'm not really fussed with either, if I'm honest. But I guess from I don't know. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, as KPD would say.
It doesn't matter what you think, Barry.
Exactly. I know he's in the background laughing now, but no, look, I think we just need to get to the end of the season now. Look, how Spursy would it be tomorrow? We go and win 5-0 or something stupid like that, or we end up in third place again. Teams are dropping. Look, Man U have still got FA Cup. They've still got Europe. Newcastle can't. They can't score for love nor money at the moment. They're the draw specialists. So yeah, like Sim said earlier, I think we could. It could be a draw between Man U and Newcastle. Man U could get dragged back into it, and then we'll have to see. But yeah, it's just not much fun at the moment, is it? I think that's the issue. I think we all just want the season to kind of finish, and then we know what we need to do. Look, Paul Merson says a lot of nonsense, but he kind of said something really that kind of hit home yesterday. He said, "Look, you need a manager. Go and pay what you need to pay. If you want De Zerbi, go and get him. If you want whoever, go and get him. Pay the money that you need to pay, because what will happen is we'll get the manager in July. He'll say what his targets are for the summer, and we'll go, oh, it's a bit late now. We'll wait till January to get those targets in. I guess the only thing with Rodgers would it help Maddison to come? I don't know, but yeah, it's not looking good. It probably wouldn't make a difference. I can see Mr. Flip Flop Office in the background shaking his head. So,
what's your
yeah,
score prediction, Barry? Do you give it?
I'm with you, Sim. I think we're going to lose 1-0. I really
Wow.
do. I don't want to be. I'm always positive, but I just can't see it. I just can't see us doing anything tomorrow. So that means if I say that, and the opposite normally happens when I give a prediction, so that means that we'll win. So
Come on.
we'll stick with a 1-0 loss, and then we'll go and put in a win tomorrow. But yeah, look, it's just glad to have football back. It's been a bit boring. So obviously we know with Spurs, we want it to be. It's never boring at Spurs, right? So
That's definitely right.
Let's see if you're still glad tomorrow night. We'll have to wait and see.
I hope so, boys. I hope so. So yeah.
Barry.
Anyway, you've got a couple more people in the background. You've got the professor of truth and entertainment as well, who's gonna, tell you how it is. So yeah. Anyway, boys, I'll let you get on. Good to see you back, and come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs. Big up, Barry. Thanks for coming on today,
Nice
mate.
one, Barry.
We've got a members chat from Ariane, member for 29 months. Ariane, so big up yourself. He says, Kane goal, Son assist, and Son goal, Kane assist. Like it's prime Jose days, Son will score. It's the law of averages. There's no law of averages with Spurs. How many times, Ariane? But it's time for Mr. Box Office. Or should I say Mr. Post Office? What are you feeling like today, Alex?
It's amazing. It's amazing how because I'm going to mention your grandpa. It'll be very nice, but he says we need to be positive. We need to give him some confidence, yeah, and give him the motivation. Where was that motivation against Nottingham Forest in the Carabao Cup, bruv? Yeah, where was that motivation in the Conference League last year? Where was that motivation?
Mr. Box
Against
Office.
Sheffield United.
My grandpa also says, don't look back, only look forward.
Yeah, Sheffield United. Where was it? Where was that, bruv?
No,
Where
he
was
said,
that?
don't look back, only look forward.
Oh, don't look back. Yeah, but we have to look back because that's what happens, bruv. When you talk about the leaders, the champions and everything else, yeah? Where was that, bruv? Where was it? Where was it, bruv? Because I don't know where it was, bruv. I don't know where that was. You know what I mean? Because people switch off when the main event, the Professor of Truth and Entertainment, turns up because they don't like the truth. They don't like the truth, right? They don't like me because I say, "Oh, Alice, you're too much. Oh my gosh, I don't like the rants. I can't do it anymore. I can't do it anymore because I can't stand it. They can't stand it. I really can't stand it no more. Oh my gosh, we got to cry. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh." Why don't you just respect the Mr. Box Office then, bruv? Yeah, because I'm waiting for those receipts. Because I told you about Parachegy, bruv. I told you, bruv. I told you. Yeah, when people were ostracizing me, telling me I'm a Poch guy. Oh, I love Poch too much. Well, what were you looking at now, bruv? We want Poch back now. Who's the mugs now, bruv? Who's the mugs now? You know what I mean? Because I was actually talking sense, wasn't I? Because if we were so good and so wanting to win trophies, we should have kept Mourinho then, wasn't it? But we sacked him after the cup final, isn't it? You know what I mean? And that's it. You know what I mean? Oh, I'm told by the masses, the guy that talks the finances, Sean, yeah, Spurs talk show, who big up to him, by the way, yeah, because he gives me fuel every single time, and I banter him every single time as well, yeah. He told me, oh, Daniel Levy, he gets us money. He gets us money. Well, the money's going to the back pockets of all the managers we're sacking, bruv. That's what we're doing. You know what I mean? Rather than sorting out a recruitment, you know what I mean? We're sorting out a recruitment, and that's it. And now I'm told I need to be positive because Conte's out the door, which I was telling him. I was telling you I wanted him out the door. You know what I mean? But now, Stellini's going to give us he's going to give us a breath of fresh air and everything else. So why are you not doing it? How many seasons now, bruv? Oh, it's an audition for Virgil van Dijk. Virgil van Dijk to have an audition. What about the last 8 years, bruv? What about the last 8 years? You know what I mean? I'm sorry. This nonsense I'm talking about, bruv. All those players need to go, bruv. They need to go. This season's over, bruv, man. You know what I mean? If they turn up against Everton, I'll tell you, why did you not turn up in those games I just mentioned, bruv? You know what I mean? You couldn't even beat a bang average AC Milan team, bruv. Yeah? And Ben, you know this, bruv, because I spoke to you after the game, bruv, directly and fresh, yeah? And you were down as well, bruv. You were telling me, I'm done. I'm absolutely done. You're the most positive person I know, bruv. You know what I mean? Big up to you boys, by the way, because I'm not having to go at you boys, because you stick up every single time, you stand up every single time, yeah? And you listen to Mr. Box Office, you allow him on Mr. Box Office, and that's it, bro. Yeah? So this is not having to go at you, bro. You know what I mean? But like I said before, yeah? Right? I've said I'm going to refresh, reset, restart, yeah? And I'll tell you right now, yeah? Phil Nicholson and Keith Birkinshaw are embarrassed, bruv, by watching this crap. And that's it, bruv. Yeah, and I'm sorry, a game against Everton ain't gonna change my opinion, and that's it. This season needs to be over, and they need to change everything, bruv. Yeah, because this week has shown you what this club is all about. Embarrassing, yeah, and Spursy, and that's it. And that's all I need to say. Because Mr. Box Office talking the truth again, and that's it. And that's all I need to say. And getting Langley in and getting Dan Juma in ain't gonna make my change my opinion. That's it, and I'm done. I'm out of here, bruv. Mr. Box Office is out of here, bruv. I'm done. I've had enough. Enough, and that's it. I'm done.
We had a super chat for you come in from Ariane. Do you want to hear it?
Go on then, hit it with me.
It says, "Never seen this guy hold a consistent opinion in 2 consecutive calls. All he does is fight an invisible crowd. We need a caller on a caller debate."
Well, bruv, honestly, bruv, dude, you got to do better than that, bruv. I can eat that all day long, bruv. I don't take 20 minutes to make my opinion, bruv. I do 5 minutes, and that's it. I'll give you a bit of a taster. Then you can come on my channel, Mr. Box Office TV, and then see what it's all about. You know what I mean? See my actual opinion. That's it, bruv. That's how it goes, and that's how it stays, and that's how it always will be. Mr. Box Office time every single time, and that's it. Then I let you lot waffle on like I said, and dig a hole for yourselves like you say all the time, and that's it, bruv. So, bruv, I'm here all ears, bruv. You know what I mean? But you got to do better than that to try me every single time, and that's it, bruv. You know what I mean? And I'm consistent, by the way, because I've said it on my channel already, bruv. I told you this time was bang average, bruv. I told you last season was overrated as well, bruv. What's happened this season, bruv? And I tell you right now, bruv, you're the biggest flip-flop going, bruv, because you were saying we were good last season. I even heard it on Brian's show, on We Are Tottenham TV, the late night show, bruv. You're telling me I was talking absolute rubbish. Oh, who's saying the same thing I'm saying now, bruv? Interesting, very interesting. But anyway, let's leave it there, bruv, and that's it. And I'm done, bruv. Yeah, you know what I mean. Good luck to you, everybody else. If you don't know, get to know. I'm done. I'm out of here, bruv. Bye bye.
See you later, mate.
All right. That was,
that was a bit
professor of
mic
truth.
drop from Mr. Box Office. Let's go to our next guest, just getting himself a cup of tea ready for the call-in show, and he goes by the name of Amir. Just give us 1 second. We're just lining it up, and we'll get him on in a split second. Yes, Amir, how's it going, man? You on mute?
I was on mute. Amateur hour.
Amateur hour, Amir. Come on, man.
I know. It must be all the shouting from Mr. Box Office. You know what I mean? It's got me ruffled.
Yeah, 2 weeks it's been without Spurs. In those 2 weeks, we've lost Conte, lost Paratici. Do you think we will see a bit of a reaction from the players and Stellini and Mason this weekend?
I really hope so. I really hope so for the fans, Ben. You know, I really do hope. You know, for me, what's important is a performance and getting back to the Spurs DNA. So, you know, if we go 3-5-2, stick Sonny and Kane up top, just go attacking football. We know what Dyche is about. We know what Everton are about. So if we can just go and attack, go for the throat, go for the jugular, and, you know, hopefully come away with something. That's my hope.
Now with, you know, this is Stellini's first game in full charge of Tottenham with Mason as assistant. You know, with Conte now gone, do you anticipate many changes to how we approach the game or what we see on the pitch, or do you think it's going to be similar to how it was under Conte?
Well, Sim, it's a good question. I think Stellini's going to want to stamp his mark and do something a little bit different. And obviously, with all the injuries that we've got, we're going to need to make a few changes in there. So I will be expecting a bit of a refreshing performance. The one thing is, though, you know, with all the negativity around the club, and I've been very negative as well over the last couple of weeks, you know, we were a dodgy penny away from third, guys. Mm-hmm. So it really isn't all doom and gloom. Yes, we've got an issue with the owners and what they're doing with the club. Yes, we've got, deadwood players that need rid of, but it's not all doom and gloom. We do have some real quality in there. And I'm just hoping for these last 10 games, we go out, we put it all on the line, we do our best to get the best position in the league, and we go from there. We rebuild, and we rebuild stronger.
Yeah, I know. With this ownership, though, like it kind of is up in the air if they allow the rebuild, which manager comes in, and when you're talking about which manager to come in, another name is going to be thrown into the hat now with Brendan Rodgers. He's just lost his job at Leicester by mutual consent today. Would you want him in?
Nah, not a hope. Not a hope. For me, there's only one man for the job, and his name begins with P, and we all love him. So yeah, get him in. Get him in.
Well, they're saying Poch is number one target for the Real Madrid job. So if it's not Poch, then who?
Potter.
Oh, it's Potter you meant, yeah?
Go down the Chelsea route again, Sim. No, none of that. Look, if Pochettino's really not available and, he's going off to Real and he's going to be trying doing the rebuild with them and get them back winning La Ligas, I would take a punt on someone. I would take a punt on Gallardo, on Nagelsmann, on somebody who's going to come and just really just shift the culture here and get back to the attacking ways. Because for me, what we've been lacking in this kind of 3 and a bit year period without Poch, it's like we've lost our identity. We've lost where we're at, and it's going to take a huge effort, and we need someone with big personality to come in and do that. So maybe a Gallardo, maybe a Nagelsmann.
Score prediction tomorrow, Amir?
Going to nick it 2-1 somehow.
Come on, same score prediction as me. Great minds think alike. But Amir, thanks for coming on today, my friend, and we'll speak to you next time, hopefully after 3 points tomorrow.
Hopefully. And guys, have a good Passover, Chag Sameach, and
to you, my friend. And to you, my friend.
Take it easy.
Make sure you send those 10 plates to the Emirates.
That's it.
Speak to you later, man.
Nice one.
Take it easy, lad.
All right, and the last caller of the day, he goes by the name of KPV.
What up, lad?
You all right, Carl? How's it going, mate?
I'm good, mate. Just getting my head up from last night. Rhea Ripley beating Charlotte Flair for that SmackDown Women's title in the main event of WrestleMania. So, all wise for the Judgment Day, people. All wise. And
you're talking about that great theatre that was on last night.
WrestleMania, Ben. And let me give you a bit of dose of reality. Anyway, I've got some news to bring you two jabronis.
Go on.
I know Sim's going to love this. Because guess what I'm going to see on the 11th of May?
Who?
Ledley King at Hertfordshire in Watford, baby.
Yeah, Ben would like that. Only I would like that.
Why would I not like that?
Well, because Sim interviewed him and done his best Spurs 11, and Sim
I recorded it.
Nah, you weren't there, mate.
I recorded it.
You weren't there, mate.
Yeah, well, I watched the video, and Sim said that Dawson isn't better than Toby doing that diagonal. No, but I think Dawson was the one who started that. When
exactly.
Lady
You
King
stick it to Ben. He doesn't like Ledley King the way I like him. It's absolutely right, Carl.
Yeah, but I'm going to say, Sim, Dawson is better than Toby because Dawson was there for longer than Toby was.
Wrong again.
Nah, you don't know it. I watched Dawson in the Spurs shirt, scoring against Chelsea.
You never saw Dawson, did you, Ben?
Never saw Dawson.
Well, at least Ben was at the Emirates when Dawson and King played in that 4 draw, Lennon equalising, and Ben
there you
pushing
go. Kyle
steward.
Coming with the receipts.
Ben pushing the steward in a North London derby, like it's a shame.
I would never
Ben
do that, Carl. I would never do that.
Well, you did in that 4 draw because I watched your North London derby video from 2020. I think it was March or April because it was supposed
Kyle
to be
never
a North
forgets.
London derby in the new stadium, but because of the pandemic, we couldn't have. We had to wait till July, and the funny thing is, I spotted you two jabronis on our documentary, All or Nothing, and it was for the North London Derby, and I spotted you two. So it looks like they're famous people. So for
Damn right.
Everton, first, I want to wish a happy birthday to Teddy Sheringham,
Big up.
56 years old. Happy birthday, my friend. And Tanganga for yesterday. Sorry, Mr. Forgot. But, like, birthdays
Tanganga's
coming.
Still
20,
wait- he's still-
24 years of age now.
He's still waiting by the phone for you, Carl. He's really not happy. You haven't got the text yet.
Well, because I have to see him in person at the training ground, fam. Like, I need to see him soon, but I'll be going to the Bournemouth game on the 15th of April, so I will see you two jabronis there. And since Mr. Italian Jabroni's gone, we've only got one left, and I'm going to say this: Conte's never lost at Goodison, but if we win tomorrow, then he's going to give Stellini a call saying, "I've never lost." So that means he's won. But
And Stellini's never lost at Goodison either.
well, that was last season. Well, Stellini wasn't at Chelsea though, was he? With Conte.
Nope.
Then he hasn't basically lost, but he hasn't basically won there. Conte did when we should have won the title a few seasons ago when Chelsea won it. Lucky, but oh well. There's
Kyle,
always
does Hugo come straight back in?
nope.
Do you want Rodgers?
No. Why do I want him? The man who beat us, who should have been sacked after we slapped him 6-2 in September. He should have left, but the board decided to keep him until today, after yesterday's defeat at Crystal Meth FC, as Expressions calls them. Like, yeah, Crystal Meth FC club, 2-1, and the board decided to keep him. Like, come on. Just get the guy out of Leicester and he's gone. Like, he's only beaten us in N17 once, and that was with Leicester just 2 seasons ago. Lucky bastard. But
What's your
see you
score
later.
prediction tomorrow?
Score prediction. Sim went 1 to Everton to predict the Prem. That's not acceptable, Sim. Change your score prediction, mate. You know what's coming.
Sign the petition.
Sign the petition. 3-1 Tottenham. 3-1. And
All right.
Kane loved the goal against Everton. Son does so. Them two linking up again and again and again, please. Who's doing the watch along tomorrow and who's going? You two going?
I'm doing the watch along.
We're both doing
Oh,
watch along.
Oh, so it's going to be Ben and Daigle, is it? Oh,
No.
great. No?
No, it's going to be me and Ben.
Oh, you two jabronis again, eh?
It's going to be
Well
old school.
then.
A nice old school watch along for you guys tomorrow.
And everyone, I'm saying this once again, just bring back some FIFA content, please, because I want my rematch, Ben, but I want Sim.
Well,
because-
it's actually funny you should say that about FIFA content because we've got some spoilers. So I'll give you a little snippet into it now, but we've actually just created a new tier for our membership, and we're going to be doing exclusive content only for those members, and FIFA content will be a part of that. And we're going to be doing some other bits and pieces on there as well. So we'll be putting all the information out there pretty soon.
All right, lads, I'm off because I've got WrestleMania to watch again tonight. And before I go, people...
Doesn't it start at
give
6
me-
in the morning?
No, it's at 1 o'clock again. 12 o'clock kickoff show, as it was last night. 1 o'clock in the morning. Everyone, before I go, give me your prediction for the main event. Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes. Who's walking out as the undisputed champion? I'm going for the
KPV,
9
you're on the wrong channel, mate. Go to the WWE channel.
No, I'm just asking, who do you think's going to win? Give me your prediction, damn it.
Spurs.
God's sake, Ben.
Spurs are going to
Cody
win
Rhodes.
2-1.
No, I'm asking who's going to win tonight's main event, Cody Rhodes or Roman
Oh,
Reigns?
I think Everton are going to win 1-0.
No, damn it, that's not
Spurs are winning 2-1 tomorrow. 100%.
Yeah, I said Spurs are winning 3-1, but what about Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns tonight,
I
damn
reckon
it.
Kane will score. Oh no, I don't reckon he'll score. I reckon he
God's
won't
sake,
score.
answer
Clean
the
sheet.
question, man. Cody Rhodes or Roman Reigns? Who's winning tonight?
Heung-min Son for sure.
God's sake! People in the chat sort these jabronis out. They're not answering the question. I'm going for Cody Rhodes.
I want Nagelsmann as new manager.
God's sake, you two are not answering the bloody question.
Would you take Potter?
Attention to you.
Would you take Potter?
Attention, people. No.
Attention seeking.
Attention to the team. Everyone in the chat, who's winning tonight? Cody, Roman Reigns. Let me know in the chat, and I will let you know tomorrow. But Cody votes for the win. Already got one right so far. Rhea Ripley won, so expecting another change tonight. And the bloodline is over. I'm
Damn
out.
right.
And as always, Levy sucks.
All right.
See you later, Carl.
Nice one.
And I think that is all we have time for. A Tottenham update went up earlier. Predicted lineup to go out a bit later on today. So thank you everyone for joining us today. Watch along tomorrow will be old school, like it's been mentioned a couple of times today. Me and Sim back on the watch along, so back taking your calls after the game tomorrow night at Goodison Park. So come and tune in, come and join the fun with us, or the not fun, the unfun, the anti-fun. But we'll see what happens tomorrow night. Let's hope we do go and get those 3 points. But thank you everyone for joining us today. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.